I grew up on a farm in rural Alabama, about 50 miles from Montgomery. Outside of a little place called Troy. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But back in 1944, when I was only 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4. Now, how many of you remember when you was 4? Now, what happened to the rest of us? My father had saved $300, and with the $300, he bought 110 acres of land. And on this land, we raised a lot of cows and hogs and chickens, and it was my responsibility to care for the chickens. And I fell in love with raising chickens like no one else raised chickens. On another occasion, I would tell you the complete chicken story, but I don't have the time. But as a young kid, about 5 or 6 years old, I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to preach the gospel. So from time to time, with the help of my brothers and sisters and my first cousins, we would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken yard and together here in this church. And my brothers and sisters and cousins would line the outside of the chicken yard. But along with the chicken, they help make up the audience, the congregation. And I would start speaking and preaching. And as I recall, during the 40s and 50s, some of those chickens that I preached to would bow their heads. Some of those chickens would shake their heads. They never quite say amen. But I'm convinced that some of those chickens that I preached to in the 40s and the 50s tended to listen to me much better than some of my Republican colleagues listen to me today. Was just a little more productive. At least they could do same. Now, the people on the other side want to take us back. We're not going back. We come too far, we made too much progress, and we're going to move forward. Next year will be 50 years ago, and I had on my hair and a few pounds lighter. I met President Kennedy in the Oval Office of the White House in June of 1963. And then on August 28, 1963, after the March on Washington was all over, President Kennedy invited us back down to the White House. He stood in the door of the Oval Office, and he greeted each one of us. He said, "You did a good job, you did a good job." When he got to Dr. King, he said, "And you had a dream." I met Robert Kennedy. I met your late Senator Ted Kennedy, who was a dear and close friend. You have an opportunity. You have an opportunity. You have a mission and a mandate to send to Washington someone who will follow in the tradition of President John F. Kennedy and Senator Ted Kennedy and Elizabeth Warren. I believe in my gut. I believe in every fiber of my body that this woman, smart, gifted, will lead us, and not just this generation, but unborn generation, to a new level, to higher heights. She's a fighter. She is a warrior. Speak up. Someone who will do more than talk the talk, but will also walk the walk. that Elizabeth Warren would be good for the state and good for our nation. Now during the 60s, I got arrested a few times. I went to jail for about 40 times. Beaten and left bloody during the Freedom Ride. Had a concussion on that bridge in Selma, Alabama. But I never gave up. I never